There are things in life that the more you chase, the farther they seem to drift away. The more desperately you try to hold on to them, the more they slip through your fingers. People spend most of their lives waiting for something to happen, waiting for an opportunity, waiting for a change, waiting for someone to appear, waiting for the day, and everything finally becomes better. But what exhausts the soul is not the waiting itself. What causes suffering is the belief that the things we desire should have arrived sooner. Perhaps at some point you have stood by a window on a windless afternoon and wondered why your life seems to be moving more slowly than everyone else's. You see people around you achieving the things they hoped for. They find success, they find love, they find their direction, and yet you are still walking along a long road whose destination remains unseen. Each passing day feels like a question without an answer, and then doubt begins to appear. Have I done something wrong? Am I not good enough? Has life forgotten me and left me behind? These questions quietly grow inside the mind like dark clouds gathering to cover the sky. They make people forget a very simple truth. Not everything that arrives late is a loss, and not everything that arrives early is a blessing. Deep within the forest, no two trees grow at the same pace. Some seeds need only a few weeks to sprout. Others remain beneath the soil for many months before showing their first sign of life. Yet nature has never considered a seed a failure simply because it blooms later than the others. Only human beings constantly compare the timing of their own blooming to that of others. We look at the clock of the world and forget that life operates according to a different kind of time, a time measured not by days, months, or years, but by the growth and maturity of the soul. According to Buddhist wisdom, everything that appears in our lives is the result of causes and conditions. No flower blooms simply because it wants to bloom. No rain falls simply because the sky feels like it. Everything waits for the right conditions to come together. When causes and conditions are complete, things arise naturally. When they are not yet complete, forcing them only creates more suffering. Yet people often live in opposition to this principle. We want the future to arrive faster. We want success to come sooner. We want wounds to heal immediately. We want life to answer every question in this very moment. We are like someone who keeps pulling a sprout upward, hoping it will grow faster, not realizing that such impatience is damaging the fragile roots beneath the surface. Some things that seem like life's delays are actually protection. Some doors remain closed because you are not yet ready to walk through them. Some things have not come to you because if they had arrived too early, you would not have been able to hold on to them. Some dreams have not yet become reality because life is still quietly preparing the lessons you need before placing them in your hands. The hardest thing is not continuing to try. The hardest thing is maintaining faith when you cannot yet see the results, remaining peaceful when everything seems to stand still, continuing to move forward when the road ahead is covered in fog. That is when patience becomes a form of wisdom, not the patience of someone who helplessly accepts fate, but the patience of someone who understands that life has its own rhythms that cannot be forced. Just as the sun does not rise earlier because someone is impatiently waiting for dawn, just as a river does not flow faster because someone wants it to reach the sea sooner. Everything is unfolding in the way it needs to unfold, and perhaps right now, while you believe that nothing is changing, the most important things are quietly taking shape within you. Perhaps life has not forgotten you. Perhaps destiny has not turned its back on you. Perhaps what you deserve is still on its way to you. But first, it needs time to become the very best thing for you. So do not rush. Do not despair when someone else's season of blooming has arrived while your garden still seems silent. A seed does not become a flower by worrying about time. It simply grows quietly in the darkness, trusting in a sun it has never seen. Perhaps that is the deepest lesson life has to offer. Be patient with your own journey, because what truly belongs to you will not be missed. When the right time comes, what is meant for you will find its own way into your life. One of the biggest reasons people lose their peace is not because they lack something in the present, but because they constantly live with the feeling that something should have already happened. I should be more successful by now. I should be happier by now. Life should have turned out differently. The mind continuously creates imagined versions of life and then compares reality to those images. And in the gap between what is and what should be, suffering appears. The Buddha pointed out that suffering does not come from external circumstances as much as we think. Suffering often arises from attachment. We become attached to a particular outcome, a desire, a specific moment. We believe that happiness will only appear when that thing happens. Therefore, every day that we do not achieve what we want becomes a day of disappointment. But life was never meant to be a race with a shared finish line. Some people find the meaning of life in their 20s. Some people must travel through half of their lives before they truly understand who they are. Some people achieve everything very early, but lose it all because they are not yet mature enough to preserve it. Some people move very slowly, but every step takes them exactly where they need to go. The world often praises speed, but wisdom lies in understanding. A flower does not try to bloom faster than other flowers. It simply focuses on absorbing sunlight, drawing water from the earth, and growing according to its natural rhythm. That is why, when spring arrives, it blossoms completely naturally. Human beings often do the opposite. We do not focus on our inner growth, but constantly look into someone else's garden. When we see someone succeed, we become anxious. When we see someone happy, we become impatient. When we see someone farther ahead than us, we begin to doubt our own journey. But what we do not see are the long nights they stayed awake, the failures they endured, the wounds they carried, and the lessons life taught them in silence. Every soul is walking its own path. Every person carries their own karma and conditions. Every life has its own rhythm. Comparing your journey to someone else's is like comparing the flow of a river to the movement of clouds. They exist beneath the same sky, yet they were not created to travel in the same direction. There are stages of life that make us feel as though we are trapped. Every door seems closed, plans fail again and again. Efforts seem to produce no results. But sometimes those very periods become the most precious gifts, because in slowing down, people begin to see the things they previously overlooked. When life does not give us what we want immediately, it is teaching us patience. When a door closes, it is teaching us letting go. When things do not go according to plan, it is teaching us how to trust something greater than ourselves. Strangely enough, the most valuable lessons in life rarely appear during easy times. They appear during the days when we feel lost, during long periods without answers, during dark nights when every belief seems to be trembling. It is there that the soul begins to mature, just as gold must pass through fire to become pure. Just as a diamond must endure immense pressure deep within the earth to form its beauty, human beings also need periods of stillness to complete themselves. But we often do not realize that while we are in the middle of the journey, only when we look back do we understand why certain things did not happen, why certain people left, why the doors that seem most important closed before our eyes. Many things that once caused us suffering eventually turn out to be protection. Many things once considered losses eventually make way for something better. The problem is that people often want to understand everything immediately. We want to know why. We want to know when. We want to know how it will all turn out. But life rarely reveals the entire picture when we have only taken the first few steps. It gives us only enough light to take one more step, then another step, and another step. That is the deeper meaning of faith. Faith is not knowing for certain what will happen. Faith is continuing to walk even when you do not know what is waiting ahead. Like a traveler walking through the darkness of night, they cannot see the entire road, but the light from the small lantern in their hand is enough to guide them forward. Life is the same. You do not need to know your entire future. You do not need to have all the answers today. You only need to live fully in the present moment. Simply continue planting good seeds, continue nurturing compassion, continue learning, growing, and improving yourself. Because the wonderful thing is that what belongs to you does not need to be forced. The right opportunities will find you when you are ready. The right people will appear when causes and conditions come together. The doors that need to open will open at the right time, not sooner, not later, but exactly at the moment when your soul has become mature enough to receive them. Therefore, if today you are still waiting for something, do not see that waiting is empty time. It is not a delay, it is preparation. Life is not standing still. Everything is still quietly moving. The seeds you have planted through kindness, perseverance, and efforts that no one sees are still growing beneath the ground. You may not see the results yet, but that does not mean they do not exist. One day, when the right time arrives, everything you have patiently waited for will connect together in a way that you cannot fully understand right now. And when you look back, you will realize that life never forgot you. It was simply leading you to where you needed to be by the most perfect path meant specifically for you. When people look back on their lives, they often realize something very strange. The things that once worried them the most eventually were not as important as they had thought. The things they tried so hard to hold on to were not the things that brought lasting happiness, and the periods they once considered delays, dead ends, or times of being lost turned out to be the most important chapters in the growth of the soul. We spend too many years chasing the future and forget that life truly exists only in the present. We always think that happiness lies somewhere ahead. It will come when we achieve a certain goal, earn enough money, meet the right person, or solve all our problems. But once one goal is reached, the mind immediately creates another destination, and so people continue running, continue searching, continue waiting for a day when they will finally feel complete. Yet the peace that the Buddha taught has never been at the end of the road. It lies in the way we walk that road. Because if a person cannot find peace in the present, they will not find peace in the future either. If the mind is always dissatisfied with what it has, then no matter how many good things life offers, the feeling of lack will continue to exist in another form. Perhaps the deepest lesson of patience is not learning how to wait. It is learning how to live fully while waiting, to remain grateful even when the results have not yet appeared, to maintain faith even when the road ahead is still covered in mist, to remain kind even when life has not yet rewarded your efforts, to continue planting good seeds without becoming overly concerned about the day they bloom. That is true freedom, when you are no longer controlled by fear of the future, when you are no longer pulled around by the feeling that you must obtain something in order to be happy, when you understand that the value of a day does not lie in how many achievements it brings you, but in how you live that day. There are people who spend their entire lives trying to control everything. They want to know in advance what will happen. They want to ensure that every plan unfolds perfectly. They want life to operate according to their wishes, but life has never promised that. Life is like a great river. The more people struggle against its current, the more exhausted they become. The more they try to control every turn, the more they lose their peace. Only when they learn to trust, let go, and move with the natural flow do they discover a much gentler source of energy. That is not surrender, it is understanding. Understanding that some things are within your power and some things are not. Understanding that you can plant the seed but cannot force the fruit to ripen. Understanding that you can make an effort but cannot control the entire outcome. And it is this understanding that frees the soul from many unnecessary burdens. One day, perhaps sooner than you think, you will find yourself in a place completely different from where you are now. You will look back on the days that once left you confused, kept you awake at night, and made you wonder whether life had forgotten you. And then you will smile, not because everything happened according to plan, but because you realize that the best things often arrive in ways no one would have expected. You will understand that some doors must close so that others can open. Some people must leave to create space for new connections. Some dreams must fade away so that more suitable things have a chance to appear. You will realize that life was never working against you. It was simply teaching you lessons that, at the time, you were not yet calm enough to understand. Therefore, if the journey is still long today, keep walking. If things are still not as you hoped today, continue nurturing your faith. If you are still waiting for something today, allow that waiting to become part of your growth rather than a source of anxiety. Remember that the sun never forgets to rise, spring never forgets to return, healthy seeds never forget how to reach toward the light, and the things that truly belong to you are no different. They are not lost simply because they arrive later than you would like. They do not disappear simply because you cannot see them yet. Everything is quietly moving in ways that ordinary eyes cannot perceive. So be patient with life. Be patient with your own journey. Be patient with the lessons that are still unfinished. And above all, be patient with your own soul. Because sometimes the greatest miracle is not getting what you desire. It is becoming the person you need to become before it arrives. And when the right moment truly comes, you will understand that nothing is too late, nothing has been missed, nothing has gone the wrong way. Everything is unfolding according to the unique rhythm of life. Trust in that. Keep moving forward and allow time to do its work.